on a little journey together, but before we do, I have our thinking caps. They're little bonnets and pilgrim hats. So I'm going to pass those out. And what they are is whenever we have to think like a pilgrim, we're going to hold up our pilgrim hats to help us think like a pilgrim. And you guys can help me think like a pilgrim. And I will tell you guys when you can hold your pilgrim hats up.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
there's more than this thing. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So we are going to go on a journey. We are in England in 1620. And there was a group of people called the Separatists. A picture of what they look like. They're called the Separatists. They were called that because they wanted to worship God differently than the England wanted to worship God. You guys can put your hats down if you would, and I will tell you when you guys can pick them up. So they wanted to worship God the way that God wanted them to worship, not the way that the Church of England wanted them to worship. So they got persecuted. Does anyone know what persecuted means? Yes.
Oh, they got killed.
Not killed. They just got made fun of. They got treated poorly because of the way that they wanted to worship God. And so in order to run away from that persecution, they went onto a boat to Holland. And I made a little map. I'm going to show you where Holland is. So here's England. They're in Plymouth, England. Right here, there's England. And so they traveled from a boat over to right here is where Holland would be, to escape the people that were making them feel really bad because of the way that they wanted to worship. But after much prayer and hard work, they decided to go back to Plymouth, England, so that they could take another ship over to the New World, which we know today as North America, where we live. And so they went back to England, and they met another group of people who wanted to go to America just like them. But they didn't really know them, so they called them strangers, because they didn't really know them. So we have the Separatists and we have the strangers, but together, since they were on the same ship, they were called the Pilgrims, because they were on the same ship. So they had to wait a long time before they could get on the ship. So I need you guys to hold up your pilgrim hats. And I need you guys to think how you think the Pilgrims felt waiting to get on that ship. Does anyone have an idea of how you would think? Yes. Nervous. And why do you think they felt nervous? I'm sorry, can you speak up?
Oh, maybe we came this soldier,
That's a good reason. They probably felt nervous, like the king was going to come after them. Yes.
or maybe their soldiers were going to come after them and put them in jail.
That's a good reason why they would be nervous. What is another reason? What is another way that they could have felt? Yes.
Excited.
Excited. And why would they feel excited?
Because they're going to go to a new land where they don't have to worship a false god.
Exactly. They could go to a land that we could worship God freely. Yes. They felt happy. Why do you think they felt happy? They get to go to freedom. Those are all really good answers. You guys can put your hats down. Those are all really good answers to why they felt the way that they did. Well, the day finally came where they could board a ship. September 6th of that year, they were able to board a ship called the Mayflower. And there were so many people. There was 120 pilgrims. That's a lot of people. And if you know the ships back in the day, in 1620, they weren't really that big.
They look like pirate ships.
Exactly. They're not like our cruise ships that we have today that are huge, that can fit so many people. They were really tiny. And so 120 people plus the luggage, plus their luggage, had to go onto this. They didn't have room to even stand. It was so crowded. And this is what they had to put their stuff in. Obviously, it'd be a little bigger now because trunks are wooden, they're huge. But this is what a trunk would look like of what they had to put it in. And they couldn't just take every single thing that they had. They could only take the most important things. So we need to hold up our hats. Hold our hats. What do you think the Pilgrims, what important things do you Pilgrims brought? Yes.
Bible.
A Bible. They couldn't worship, well, they could worship God without a Bible, but that's important for them to take, yes.
Food.
Food. How could they live without food? I mean, can we live without food? No. I mean, we could probably for like a day, but after that, we would need food, yes.
I know how more days we could survive without food,
How?
just with water.
We could survive without food with water, but eventually our bodies would need food with the nutrients. Yes. They needed something to drink because they're on a boat. They don't really have fresh water.
They can just live on the ocean.
Exactly, because of the salt water. Yes. Medicine. So if they got sick, they would have to have the medicine. Yes.
Seasick spray where they can. Well, that would.
I don't know if they had seasick spray back then, but they would have to have medicine in order to help them feel better. Yes.
Sleeping supplies.
Sleeping supplies? They would need to have sleeping supplies. Yes.
Clothing, and also, I have one question for you.
Yes.
Does it tell them what their names are?
No, it doesn't tell what the names of the
And they need hats too.
They do need hats because they need
be
to.
recognized.
Because what if they go to a place where it's
Rain.
snowing and raining? They need to have clothes to help them. Clothes. All right, you guys can put your hats down. Disguises. There's also good so good answers for what they need to bring. And do you think they were sad to leave some things behind? Yeah. Do you guys have like a favorite stuffed animal that you bring to ever? Yeah, I have a favorite stuffed animal. He's like this big. He's like a pillow. He's a wolf. His name's Balto. And I have to bring him to every single place I go to. I have him in my dorm room right now because I could not, I would be really sad if I had to leave him behind because he's like one of my pillows. He helps me sleep at night. So there's probably a lot of things that they had to leave behind that they were really sad that they had to leave it behind. But with 120 people plus all this luggage, they wouldn't be able to bring their whole household, would they? No.
That would be cool.
That would be cool to fit a household in a ship. But the ship was so tiny that they would have to sink. Yes.
Now, like, me and my family just moved a few days ago. They wouldn't be able to bring, like, all their stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. They would have to leave their beds, probably. They would have to leave some of their clothes behind because we wouldn't have to fit all of their clothes, especially if they knew that they had a lot. Well, they were on the Mayflower and they were in the middle of the ocean. Put your hands down, put your hands down. They were in the middle of the ocean, and their captain, his name was Captain Jones. I have a picture of him right here. And he was a very kind captain. He loved the Pilgrims. He treated them with respect. But there was sailors, and they didn't treat them with respect. They treated them the same way the people of England treated them in the first place. That's the whole reason why they were leaving England, to get away from that, and for a long time they had to deal with the sailors, calling them names, making fun of them. But that wasn't the only thing they had to deal with. They had to deal with hunger. Because they did bring food, but it was like dry food, and once all the food was like eaten up, guess what they had to eat?
Seafood.
Not seafood. They had stale bread and crackers. Ew! Stale bread and crackers. How many of you would like to eat stale bread and crackers?
I just eat.
You would just eat the crackers?
Yeah.
How would you feel if you, after a long day of school, you went home and your mom was like, I made you something special, and you went in and you were thinking of cookies, and you went in and it was stale bread and crackers?
Ew. Yum.
Would you be really thankful that your mom made that, or
No.
or would you be complaining?
No, my mom makes the best cake.
Yeah. You would be thankful? That's really good.
I'd be thankful.
Yeah.
I'd be thankful.
Well, there was some of the pilgrims that probably were thankful that they actually had food, but probably there was some that went hungry because they were like, I'm not eating that stale bread. That's nasty. Yeah, it's pretty nasty, but that's all they had to eat. They had to survive somehow. That wasn't the only thing that they had to deal with. What happens this time of year? It gets cold, and the temperature drops. What happens to our bodies sometimes? Yes. We get chills. Yes. And our immune system decides to play tricks on us. And what happens when our immune system tries to play tricks on us? What happens to us? We get sick. We get sick. And because it was such tight quarters, there were so many people, germs were spreading rapidly. And it wasn't just a cold. It was a really, really bad sickness. And some of the people even died because of this sickness. To show you guys how tight it was, I need to have 4 volunteers. Oh, you guys are okay. How about you, Adriel, and then how about you? All right, I need you guys to stand back to back. You all stand back to each other. All right. This is the Mayflower. My rope is the Mayflower, and I will show you guys how. So I'm gonna put this around you guys. Okay. I want you guys to try to walk. It's really hard to walk, isn't it? All right, you guys can go sit back there. That's how it was in the Mayflower. Because there was so many people and so much luggage that it was so hard to even walk. And so the germs are spreading because there were so many people. So how many of you have siblings? You have brothers and sisters? I have 3 brothers.
I have one.
Yeah.
I have half my
Yeah.
I have no
All right. Shh. I have 3 brothers. I have 2 older ones and 1 younger one. And when one of them got sick, I would get sick because I was in the same house as them, and I was with them 24/7. I would get sick because my mom homeschooled me. So we would be in the same house. If they got sick, one of us was bound to get sick because we were all together. And that's what happened with the pilgrims. They all got sick. Some of them even died. Yes?
Some of the people in the Mayflower could barely even breathe since there was so much people.
It was hard, probably, to breathe. Our history books don't really say if it was hard to breathe, but I would imagine it was hard to breathe because there were so many people.
Since the temperature dropped, did it freeze water sometimes?
The salt makes it hard for especially the Atlantic Ocean to freeze, and so it didn't really freeze. But that was the only thing that they had to deal with. I heard it, storms. Do you think the weather was just perfect?
No.
The waves were just calm the whole time? No. There was 2 giant storms that they got. And the waves went over the boat. And it was so hard. The wind was so hard that it broke the main mast that held the sails. So this right here cracked in half and came crashing down on them. There was leaks in the boat, which if you're in the middle of the ocean and you get a leak in your boat, what happens to the boat? It starts to sink.
And sharks come and eat you up.
Does that sound fun to be in a boat in the middle of the ocean? No, that doesn't seem really fun. And so, like all storms, it calmed. The wind calmed, and they were sitting there as the boat was kind of sinking, and the mast was down. They probably felt really discouraged because they're like, how are we even supposed to get to the new world now? Well, the sailors fixed the leaks in the boat, and they fixed the mast, and they started on their journey one more time. And because of this, the storms, the boat kind of got off course a little bit, but they just kept sailing. And it was 65 days that they were on that boat. That's a long time, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's more than a month.
65 days.
2 months.
And guess what they saw in the distance after those 65 days?
Land the country.
Land. They heard the sailors yell out, "Land ho!" They could see land in the distance. On November 11th, they got off the boat and landed on American soil in Plymouth, Massachusetts. Now, that wasn't the place that they were trying to get to. They were trying to get to Virginia, which is way down. Like Massachusetts is up here, Virginia's down there. And because of the storms, it made them go to Massachusetts, to Plymouth, Massachusetts. And it took several weeks for them to find a place for them to leave, a safe place for them to build their homes, because they didn't have homes in there, so they had to build them. And immediately when they got off the boat, who did they think? God. They thanked God. Because who was the person who kept them safe in the storms? It was God. God kept them safe. They thanked through this whole time, God helped them through this whole journey. Just like Moses taking the Hebrew children out of Egypt, God protected his people and brought them out of Egypt, didn't he?
And some young men also have
Yeah. God protects us, doesn't he?
Mhm.
Aren't you thankful we have a God
Yes.
that can protect us,
Mhm.
especially if we're in the middle of the ocean in a little tiny boat that's sinking? I'm thankful that we have a God that can protect us. Well,
I never traveled.
now that we went on our journey,
Well, I have.
I'm going to have you guys map out the journey, kind of like I did. So, I have little pieces. You guys are going to need a blue piece of paper, and you're going to need glue and something to color. And you guys are going to, I have little things like this, and I have the dates and the places that they left. So you guys are going to glue this on there.
What do we need?
You need a blue piece of paper, a glue stick, and coloring stick. So,
I will get the paper. You
Okay.
get the rest of your supplies.
yes.
Do we need scissors? Do we need scissors?
They are going to America.
Wait,
Yeah, the Pilgrims. So this is the Mayflower, and the Pilgrims,
That's North America, not
this is North America.
Well, we need scissors.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we need
So this-
scissors.
But
Scissors.
no, you don't need scissors. You just need glue stick and something to color. I blew this up. So right here, if you guys can see, that's where Massachusetts is on the big North America. And so I blew it up to show you what the state looks like. That's what it looks like. Yes.
Wait,
Even did some of the babies die?
Some of the babies died too. They probably were the first ones to die because babies, they don't have a really good immune system like we do. So they probably were the first ones to die. There was a baby that was born on, and she named him Oceanus.
Oceanus.
That's a weird name, isn't it?
They're on the ocean.
They're in the ocean, so she's like, you know what? This is a great day. I'm gonna name him Oceanus. That's a weird, yes.
My birthday is on November 10th.
Wow,
And he gave his birthday is the same exact birthday as my brother's.
that's
He's
cool.
turning 6.
Okay.
He's turning 6 this year.
Well, while your teacher is getting paper, I'm gonna hand these out.
What do we do with our hats?
You guys can keep your hats.
Yay!
You guys can take the pen off.
Put it out and put it on my head. What if we were Can we keep the pen on your I'll do it. Just see what's on my head.
All right, there you are.
That's a lot.
He has That's your favorite.
That is a nut. Do we get to keep the
Yep.
This is kind of I got purple clip. I got blue clip. I got pink. Hey Chloe, what's your favorite color?
Okay, I'm gonna keep this one up here so that you guys
My
can.
favorite color is yours. I got a blue. Yes, I will trade you. It's for me. Here you go. I'm Chloe.
That's.
Is it what color do you have? Purple. Blue, but I traded the wallet.
So
I am what?
if you want, you guys can color them first before gluing them, or you can do what I did and I glued them first and then color. You guys can do whatever you want. Which one looks more like America? The one that I have.
Can we color? Can we keep the paper one?
Sorry.
Yep. Which one says?
That one? Here.
Can we look at the map?
Oh, yes, here. I'll hold the map up so you guys can see.
Okay, so the first thing. Okay, this. Where does this one go? Is this like that one?
Which one?
The one over there? Or that's
Yeah, that's North
It's
America.
supposed to be like
What is this one?
Which one does it look like? This one? This one's North America.
Here, is this one?
This one is.
The one that has a weird looking tail thing,
This is England.
yep, that's Europe. The one that has a weird looking tail thing is North America.
What is this one?
Oh yeah.
This one is where they came from.
Do we keep the paper clips?
Okay, so this one.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I put that in the water. I got it. And I just put them in the water.
Oh.
It's big.
Look at my sail. Rainbow. Wait, no, it's off right now.
Pretty good sail. I like rainbows.
Look what I did. I did the same thing with
Those are the dates that you're gonna, so once you get all the North America, that, and Europe, you're going to kind of do what I did. So you're gonna put where they came from and the date that they left onto that. You don't have to put the date on Europe, so you can put it kind of by Europe, but when, yeah, so.
I don't know when they left. What's that? September 6th.
And what is this?
That one's Massachusetts. See, I kind of blew it up so that you guys can see what Massachusetts looks like. Because you can't really see in our North America.
Yeah, you can like barely see Massachusetts.
Because it's a really,
You can't see Massachusetts.
yeah, they left in September and
It kind of looks like a weird stretchy head. No, I can see Massachusetts.
it kind of has
It's
the
right
weird.
there. So which way are we sailing? Massachusetts.
We're sailing,
It's right there.
we're sailing towards North America. Yeah.
Massachusetts is right there. Now, which way does the United States go?
That's Canada.
The top of that looks like that.
It does look like that. But up here, I didn't have a line, probably should have, where America is, the United States of America. On the top part of North America is where Canada is. So we're kind of in the middle.
Yeah, we are.
Because this little tail thing is Mexico.
Can
and
we
then
draw? Can we draw a line under the boat?
Yes.
Okay.
We're going to draw the line.
to Mexico.
I think
This is where the Great Lakes, I live in Michigan. So I live right there.
Oh, you live in Michigan?
I travel all the way from Michigan over here.
my mom did too. I went to Michigan. She was born in Michigan. My mom flew through Michigan.
Yeah. I was born in Wyoming. Out here.
Oh, cool. Like by Montana.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite place in the world.
And then when I was 3, we moved to Illinois, which is kind of like
My dad grew up in
right
Illinois.
there
That's where my dad grew up in Illinois.
I grew up in the state.
in Wisconsin.
I want to be.
It's a pretty good state.
I want to be at Florida, but my favorite state.
Yeah.
I grew up.
But
My favorite
my
state
one
is
thing I don't like about this state is
and New Hampshire.
my mom's weed and there's robbery. Trying to kill people.
I do.
I don't like the mosquitoes.
Yeah,
I
hate
like the mosquitoes. They're so buggy.
Mm-hmm. I like the fall and the winter because there's no bugs.
Yeah, I love winter. I love winter.
There's 2 reasons why I love the winter. Can anyone guess what the first reason is?
No mosquitoes.
No, well, that's one of the reasons, but not the 2 reasons.
Because there's no
I get to have presents. I get to have presents twice in winter.
Wow.
I do like playing in the snow. I do like hot chocolate. But what holiday would you celebrate in the winter? Christmas! Mm-hmm. I do like it. It's really good. Ooh, yours is really good.
I did 5 Christmases this year.
Yeah.
Guess what I get?
My birthday's 5 days
I
after
get-
Christmas, so I
guess
get
how
twice
many
as much
presents?
presents.
I want to see how many presents I get.
How much presents?
Does this one go quite
10 each Christmas.
What does it say?
15. I get more than 15. I get 20. I get more than 20. I get like
more than
6, 7, 8, and
Yes.
like I get like presents. I get 25, 6, 7
Mhm.
every year.
I do too.
Last year,
You drop.
I mean the year before last year, I got probably one time we
Yeah.
had a really 35 presents. And
One year I had 87.
Last year I invited the ton of I got more than 87. How many? Do you know 100?